right, now we're going to graph linear functions that are written in the point-slope form. In these directions, I ask you to label 2 points that are on the graph. On your practice that you will work on tomorrow in class, I ask you to label the x-intercept and the y-intercept. So we're going to talk about how we find those in point-slope form. First thing we're going to do, though, is we are just going to sketch a graph of this line using the point that it goes through and the slope. So, from our point-slope form, that's the y-coordinate of the point, but remember, from equation to the point and point to the equation, remember in the last video we made kind of a big deal about changing the sign. So the point that this line goes through, the y-coordinate of the point, is positive 1. You need to remember to change that sign on that. And here is the x-coordinate. But again, we've got to remember to change the sign going from the equation to the point. So the point that this line goes through is the point 2, 1, which is about here. And with the slope of 2/3, positive 2/3, we're going to go up 2 and over 3, which would actually get us to the point 5, 3. Okay, and that is that line. Now, what we're going to do is on the worksheet, I ask you to label the intercepts, x-intercepts and the y-intercept. So we're going to find each intercept in this case. And yesterday, with the slope-intercept form, I mentioned that whenever you want to find the y-intercept, you put 0 in for x. Whenever you want to find the x-intercept, put 0 in for y. Okay, so we're going to do that to find these x and y-intercepts. If we want to find the y-intercept first, we're going to put 0 in for this x. So we have y minus 1 is equal to 2/3 times 0 minus 2. So we're putting the 0 in for that x-coordinate, and we're going to solve this equation for y. Okay? So 0 minus 2 is negative 2 times 2/3 gives us negative 4/3. And then we're going to add 1, okay, to both sides. So when we add 1 with the denominator 3 is 3/3. So then we end up with y is equal to negative 1/3, which we write about down here. So that point is 0, negative 1/3. So we can kind of see the general direction of this line. And we've got one x-intercept there to find. And that x-intercept is found by plugging 0 in for y. So plugging 0 in for y, we got 0 minus 1 equals 2/3 times quantity x minus 2. And we are going to then solve this equation for x. Many of you might be distributing. If you want to do that, that's great. 2/3 x minus 4/3. And if those fractions are bugging you, remember from way back when we were solving these equations, you have the power to get rid of them. You can multiply by that common denominator of 3. So when we do that, we have negative 3 is equal to 2x minus 4. So we can solve this by adding 4. 1 equals 2x, and then dividing by 2. So x is equal to 1/2. So our x-intercept is the point 1/2, 0. Okay? Also on the practice for tomorrow, I will ask you to give the domain and range. And again, domain goes from left to right. Left edge is negative infinity. The right edge is positive infinity. And the range goes from the bottom to the top. Bottom edge of the graph is negative infinity. Top edge of the graph is positive infinity. All right, then the second one, our point that the line goes through, here's our x-coordinate, but remember, change the sign. And here's the y-coordinate that it goes through. Remember, change the sign. So it goes through the point 4, -7. Should be about down there somewhere. Okay? And then from that point, we're going to go down 4 and over 5. Put us about in that vicinity somewhere. Okay, again, here's the point 4, -7. So what's going to happen here is we're going to calculate the x and the y intercepts. And once again, whenever you want to find the y intercept of the graph, plug 0 in for x. To find the y-intercept, you substitute 0 in for x. To find the x-intercept, you substitute 0 in for y. I'm going to sound like a broken record, but that's one thing I want you guys to have down. No matter what graph you're trying to find or you're trying to graph, to find any x-intercept, plug 0 in for y. To find any y-intercept, plug 0 in for x. So, doing the arithmetic and solving for y, we have y plus 7 is equal to, we have -4 here, times -4/5 is positive 16/5. And then we're going to subtract 7 from both sides. Written with a denominator of 5, that's 35/5. So our y-intercept then is -19/5. Which we'll say put us about there. So our line goes through that. So here's the y-intercept. And we're going to find now the x-intercept by plugging 0 in for y. So doing the arithmetic, you can distribute the -4/5. And again, if you want to get rid of those fractions, you can multiply everything in this equation by 5. So we have 35 is equal to -4x plus 16. Subtract the 16. So we get 19 is equal to -4x. Then we divide by -4. So x is equal to -19/4. So the x-intercept is -19/4, 0. And the domain and range, the domain is -infinity to infinity. Again, going from left to right. And the range goes from bottom to top. The bottom will be -infinity. The top will be positive infinity. So that is graphing lines that are written in point slope form, and that's a good review of how we find the x and the y intercepts and solving those linear equations. In the next video, we're going to look at some tables with data in them and how we can write linear equations representing that data.